Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Menahot, Daf Yomi, Daf Ayin Hey Amud Aleph, 75A1. We are by the the two dots on the third line. Okay, go to the third line. Halot Bolelan. So we're talking about the halot, right? That we're going to here we're talking about the halot of the mincha machavat and marchesh and mincha mahafa, that you're going to mix them together. You're going to knead them together with oil after you made them, right? Halot metuganot or afuyot, which means that you fried them or you baked them. These are the words of Rebbe. The chachamim come and they say solet. You're going to come and you're going to do it when they're still going to be solet. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a braita. Solet belula. What does it mean when it says in the pasuk solet belula v'shemen? Right, this was in last week's parasha Vayikra. Solet birulav Hashem. This week, by the way, in this week's parasha, you're already going to speak about that it's going to be Kalil Toktar, that all the Minchat Kohen goes completely consumed to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's going to be beautiful. Pay attention, read it in English. When you're going to read this week's parasha, everything that we were learning in Masechet Menahot, you're going to be doing a chazara in this week's parasha as well. So it says like this, Solet birulav Hashem, Melamed. It comes to teach you, Nivlelet Solet, which means that you're going to come and you're going to do the Belilah. Belila is the kneading of it with the oil, right? When it's still solid. So when it's still flour, you're going to fine flour. That's when you're going to do the belila with the shemen. Rebbe says, chalot bolelan, which means that only after they became chalot, now you're going to be bolelan b'shemen. Shneimar, but it says chalot belulot b'shemen. Amrulo, they said, 1 second. Right? That means basically, when do they knead it with the oil? Is it when it's still flour or it's already after it's already a loaf? It's already after loaf. Now remember, when we say loaf, it doesn't mean mamash chametz, because the only chametz that was in the Bet HaMikdash was shtei alechem and the korban todah. Chazak Baruch. The 10 loaves of the 40 loaves of the korban todah. Chazak Baruch, doctor. So he says bolelan. So he says like this. He says amrulo. They come and they say va'lo lachme todah ne'emar bahen halot. It says by the lachme todah halot. Now, by the lachme todah, it also says chalot belulav hashemen. Now, you can't come and be bolel otam when they're chalot, ela only when they're solid. So therefore, right? So Keitzado says, so how do you do it then? So he says, noten shemen bekli kodem leasiatan, venotna, venoten shemen alea ubolela, velasha, veofa upoteta, and then noten alea shemen vekomet. So you remember we said there's 3 different times when you're going to add oil. The first time is even before putting it into the keli, which nowadays even the women do that until today, that they'll always, before putting it in the challah things or whatever it is, they're always going to put a little bit of oil, right? They'll put a spray, they'll put whatever it is, but basically they'll usually put oil. So you've got before putting it into the keli. The second one, when you're actually doing it, when you're kneading it together, that's the noten shemen alea ubolela velashan. You're going to come and you're going to do the lash, the kneading with a K, right? And then the last one, you're going to come and you're already going to bake it or fry it. And then what happens is you're going to break it in pieces. And again, you're going to put shemen and then you do the kmitza. So this is when you're going to do the kmitza, right, on this shemen, which is going to be done after it's already been baked or fried. So Rebbe comes and he says, halot bolelan, shneimar halot, you're going to, when it says halot, it means you're going to come and knead it with oil, shneimar halot belulav hashemen. Keitzad say, how do you do it? Noten shemen bekli kodem lasiyata. You put the oil in the kli before making it. Venotna, and then you're going to put the solid. Velasha veofa, then you're going to knead it, you're going to bake it. Upoteta, you're going to break it. Venoten ala shemen, and then again you're going to put the oil again. Ubolela, and then you're going to knead it again. Vechozen venoten ala shemen, again you're going to put the shemen. Vekometz, and you're going to do the kmitza. So look how many different steps you're having that you're going to do the kmitza at the end. So says the Gemara, Efshar de kamri leRabbanan leRebbi mahi. What does it mean then when it said that you cannot do the belila of the shemen by the lachme todah? Why did you say Efshar? We said Amrulo valo lachme todah ne'emar ban chalot ve'efshar lebolelan keshen chalot ela solet. Why? Why do you say that? So Amar Rav Shmuel bar Yitzchak says Rav Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak revi'it shemen hi. Right, you've got 1 revi'it that you're going to put in the lachme todah. So therefore, hech mitchaleket lekama chalot. How are you going to come and put it to so many chalot? Right? He says after you already bake them, right? They're already yavesh. So if it's already yavesh, how's it going to come and start taking more and more oil? But rather, the belila has to be done when it's still solid. Because then, right, it's not going to be completely absorbed inside. And therefore, you could come and you could be lebalelan. You could come and you could do that for everything else. Now we said that the chalot, they need belulav shemen. The rikikin, which is another form of the chalot, they need meshicha b'shemen, just a smearing on the top. You know, like on the top, sometimes that you finish, just like they do nowadays. They smear on the top of the challah and then they put the sesame seeds. So something very similar. So you just smear it on top. That's the meshicha. So Tanu Rabbanan we learned in the Braita, chalot belulot velo rikim belulin. right? Shiachol valodinia, I would have made a kal vachomer. What's the kal vachomer? Uma chalot she'enan teuna meshicha. Teunot belila, rekikin she'teunu meshicha, enodin tilim belila. He says, 1 second. The chalot, they don't need meshicha, but they still need belila. So if you're going to tell me the rekikin that they do need meshicha, kal vachomer, then they need belila, tamulomar chalot belulot, and not the rekikin. So it means the rekikin do not need belila, they only need meshicha, and the chalot need belulot b'shemen. So says the Gemara, rekikim meshuchim velo chalot meshuchot. So only the rekikim need meshicha, but not the chalot. Shiachov alodino, I would make a kal vachomer. Just like the rekikim do not need belila, but they need meshicha. Chalot that they do need belila, kal vachomer you should need meshicha. Tamulomar rekikim meshuchim velo chalot meshuchot. Again, we're learning that only the rekikim need the meshicha, which is the smearing of the oil on top of it, but not the belulot b'shemen, and not the chalot. My Talmuda says the Gemara, what's the drasha? Amar Rava comes and he says, Lo lishtamet velichtov. Why can't we just come and write chalot meshuchot urkikim belulim? From the fact that it kept on saying that the chalot was belulot and the rekikim meshichim, right, and it didn't change the order whatsoever. So therefore, that's why we said that the chalot are by themselves are going to be belulot, and the rekikim are the ones that are going to be meshichim, and not the other way around. Why? Because we were always makpid, right? So the chalot belulot b'shemen, urkikim meshuchim b'shemen. We always were makpid like that. So therefore, from there we learned that we didn't switch anything around. It's always going to be chalot belulot b'shemen, rekikim meshuchim b'shemen. So how do you do it exactly? Kate said moshchan. Kemin ki. What does that mean? Like the letter ki. Vashan echal. My kemin ki. Amar Rav Kahana kemin ki yevani. Just like the ki yevani. We're going to see over here. It's one of the letters. So he says over here, Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in the Braita, mincha ba mechza chalot umechza rekikin. When you have a mincha which is going to come half chalot and half rekikin, mevi log shemen vechotzeu. You're going to be one log of a shemen, and you're going to divide it. Half of them for a chalot and half of them for the rekikin. Chalot, you're going to mix them in the shemen. Rekikim, you're just going to not anoint, smear them with the oil. Umosheach et rekik al pnei kulo, right? You're going to come and you're going to do the entire top part of the rekik. You're going to smear it with the oil. Ushar shemen machziro lechalot, and the rest you're going to put it back to the chalot. Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda, Mishum Rabbi Shimon, says Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda, in the name of Rabbi Shimon, says Moshchan keminki. You're going to do it from the half of the log. Ushar shemen is going to be eaten to the kohanim. Meaning, what do you do with the leftover oil? Do you put it back to the chalot after you did the rikikim? Or do you give it to the kohanim and now the kohanim are going to eat it? So according to the shita, kohanim eat the leftovers. Yes, the kohanim are the ones that are going to come and eat the leftovers of the oil. The Tanya Idach and the other right that says rikikina b'im ifnei atzma mevi log shemen moshchan v'chozer moshchan and shichle kol shemen shebaluk, right? Which means that you're going to come, you're going to just continue smearing them until you finish the entire log. So you just continue putting oil on the top, and the kid kept on getting absorbed. Continue going until you finish the entire shemen. Rabbi Shimon Shimon Moshchan keminki. You're going to come. You're going to anoint them like the letter ki. Ushar Hashem and echal kohanim, and the rest of them is going to be eaten by the kohanim. Fine. Mishnah. There's the Mishnah on the bottom of Ein Hamud Aleph 75a on the bottom of the Mishnah. Kol menachot naasot bekli teunot petita. Any menacha, any type of a korban mincha which needs a keli, you have to break it. The Gemara is going to explain what does that mean now, petita, because we said potatinota was to break them in pieces. Okay? So says the Gemara, lemiute mai, what does it mean now, all the menachot coming to exclude, which are made in a kli? What is it coming to exclude? Amar Papa lemiute shtei alechem velechem apanim. Right? Why? Those are not called shnasim bikli. Because since they're going to be baked in a regular oven, in a tanur shel chol, it's not considered that it was done in a kli sharet. So therefore, that's why it says that you're going to have two different halachot. So Tanu Rabbanan learned in Braita patoto tapitim mincha. When it says that you're going to break it up into different pieces, and that's the word mincha. Lerabot kol menachot lepetitata. We're going to include all the menachot for the petita, for the mincha mafeh. Yachol shani marbev av shtei alechem velechem apanim. So I would have thought to say that I'm going to include also the shtei alechem velechem apanim. Tamulomar otah comes to teach you the word otah. What does that mean? You have to be potet otah and nothing else. This is coming to exclude the shtei alechem and the lechem apanim, which you do not need petita. You don't break them at all. Then you're going to come, you're going to pour the oil. We're going to come and we're going to include all the menachot to the yitzika, to the pouring of the oil. So I would have thought to say that we're going to include also minchat ma'afeh. Tamulomar comes to teach you aleha shemen. What does that mean? You're going to come and you're going to pour the oil on it. So I'm going to take out chalot of the man minchat ma'afeh, but I'm not going to take out the rikikim. So Tamulomar comes to teach you the word he. When I see he is a mute. That needs yitzika. Okay, only specifically that needs yitzika and not any other mincha. So it comes out that there's two miutim. One miut is aleha, right? V'yatzakta aleha shemen on this and not on anything else. And mincha he. This is whether it's going to be the chalot or the rekikin. So says the Gemara, my tamula. What is the mochacha? Ema lotzi minchat kohanim. Well, maybe I'm just going to exclude minchat kohanim. Remember, minchat kohanim we already learned yesterday is a different minchat. It's kulo kalil. The entire thing is consumed on the mizbeach, so on and so forth. Ein hamud bet. So Amarabba Rabba says, Ezu davar shetzarich shnei miutim. What is that something which needs two different mutes? Heve omer zo minchat ma'afeh. I would say it's only minchat ma'afeh because it's got both chalot and rekikin. So therefore we needed aleha and he, which are two different exclusions, in order to exclude the chalot and the rekikin. The minchat kohen, all I needed is one exclusion, right? So therefore, since it's written two mutes, I know that we're not talking about the minchat kohen, we're talking about the chalot and the rekikin, that it's going to be excluded, right, from this patotopatapitim, from making it into small little tiny pieces of bread. Okay, fine. Mishnah in Hamud Bet 75b says the Mishnah on the top of the page. Minchat Yisrael kofel echad lishnayim u'shnayim l'arba u'mavdil. So what do? You're going to double over every single challah. You're going to fold them, right? 1 to 2, 2 halves, right, to 4, and then what you're going to do is you're going to separate them, right, to different pieces, in order that the Kohen could come and he could do the kmitzah. The Minchat Kohanim, right? Yes. Which one?
On what?
The kmitzah on the petitim. You're going to do the kmitzah in this fashion. Yeah, on this. Okay?
It's already bread.
Yeah, it's already bread. You break it into little pieces, and then you're going to come like this, pick up whatever you can, and you're going to bring it. Yeah? You're going to bring it when you break it into small pieces. Right? The Minchat Kohanim, though, you're going to do 1 to 2, kofel echad lishnayim, 2 to 4, the eno mavdil. But you don't divide them. Right? Why? Because there's no kmitzah. Right? So you don't need separate pieces. Right? It's all one thing. You don't need kmitzah. Minchat Kohen Mashiach lo ya mekapla. The Kohen Minchat Kohen Mashiach, which is the Kohen Gadol, they wouldn't be mekapel at all. They wouldn't fold it at all. Okay? Now Rabbi Shimon argues. Rabbi Shimon omer, Minchat Kohen Mashiach em bahem petita mipnei shem bahem kmitzah. You don't do petita, but you don't do kmitzah. V'chol shem bahem kmitzah. So if you don't have kmitzah, you don't have petita. V'kulan potetan kezetim. Right now, when you're going to come and you're going to break it, you're going to break it in the size of a kazait. So each piece of bread that you're breaking should have a kazait. Okay? Let's see the Gemara. Tanu Rabbanan, we learned in a Braita. Okay? Patot. When we say that you're going to make it patot or patapitim, Yachol Ishtaim, I would have thought that you're going to break it into two, right? So he says, Samulomar, pitim. But it says patot ota pitim. So what does pitim mean? So pitim, if it's going to be pitim, Yachol Yasenom perurim, maybe I have to make it crumbs. So imagine, I came and already baked it, or I fried it, and now I made it into bread. But maybe now I'm going to make it into crumbs, right? Which is going to be mamash pirurim. So Tzamulomar comes teach you ota, patot ota pitim. Ota liftitim, velo petachea, vetitea leptitim. Meaning you could only do it in itself to ptitim, to smaller pieces, but not the ptitim into smaller ones. Ha-ketzad. Minchat Yisrael kofel echad l'shnayim l'shnayim l'arba'ah. So you're going to fold it 1 to 2 and 2 to 4, and then you're going to split up the 4 pieces. And the Minchat Kohanim, the Kohen Mashiach, you're not going to do it at all. So says the Gemara, V'anan Tanan lo ya mekapla, that you wouldn't do it at all. So what does that mean here? That haya mekapla. I thought we said that the Minchat Kohen, you don't fold at all, because you don't have to do the kmitzah, so you don't fold it. So Amar Rabba, ena mekapla l'arba. You don't fold it to 4, but you do fold it to 2. You fold it to 2, not to 4. So you take it and you fold it into 2, but you don't do it into 4. Okay, that's the answer that we just... Which one?
You already broke it.
That's fine. But you're not going to break it into smaller pieces. This is the double. Remember, the Minchat Yisrael, you have to do 1 to 2, 2 to 4. And then you're Mavdil. He says here, no. Here you're doing 1 to 2 and that's it. You don't do anything else. 1 to 2. Rabbi Shimon says, Minchat kol minchat mekshiyach emem petita. Amar Rav Yosef says, Rav Yosef, hay chavitza. This chavitza deep perurim kazay, that it's got a pasgay perurim. Mevarchim alei motzi lechem min haaretz. You make a motzi lechem min haaretz. This is what we spoke about. Do you remember we spoke about the French toast? That you would make a motzi lechem min haaretz on French toast. That means once it's a motzi, if you're going to cut it and you want to get rid of the tzurat apat, right? As long as it's got a kazait, it's still going to be a motzi. So that's what we just mentioned right here. If it's got pirurim kazait, you're still going to make a motzi lechem min haaretz. But if you do not have a kazait, right? So French toast, motzet Shabbat. If it was before Shabbat and I fried the bread, right? So therefore it's bichlal, it's mizonot. But if it's already a motzi and now I come and I want to bring it down to mizunot, I have to make sure that every single piece of bread is going to be less than a kazait. If it's less than a kazait, it's mizunot. More than a kazait, it's a motzi. So Amar of Yosef says of Yosef, Minan mina la. How do I know this? The Tanya we learned in the Braita. Haya omedu makriv menachot b'Yerushalayim. Right, the one that's bringing the menachot in Yerushalayim used to say, Baruch shechianu v'kibenu v'genu alon zman hazeh. Nitalan, when he used to take the menachot leochlan, he used to say, Motzi lechem min haaretz. Utznan, and we learned in the Mishnah, v'kulam petitin b'kazait. There has to be a kazait. Meaning, why do you still say kamotzi? Because it's got a kazait. If it didn't have a kazait, you would have made kamotzi on this bread.
So it's bigger than kazait.
Yes, each piece was bigger than a kazait. Okay? So Amale Abaye comes and he says, Atana Rabbi Shmuel Damar, according to Rabbi Shmuel, that he says, Mefarchan, that we're going to come and we're going to cut it into small pieces, Ad shemachziran lesoltan, until mamash you're bringing it back to solid. Hachanami, so what? You're not going to make a motzi? Telo mevarech hamotzi. Now, if you're going to tell me that you're not going to make a motzi, Vatanya, we learned in a Braita, liket mikulan kazait. If you take everything a kazait and you eat it on Pesach, you're going to be chayav karet. Meaning, forget about now the motzi lechem min haaretz. If I'm going to come and I'm going to take a crumb here, a crumb here, a crumb here, a crumb here, I put them all together. I eat a kazait on Pesach. You're chayav, a person's chayav karet. So now the question is why? Yeah, chametz. This is chametz, right? So there's going to be chayav karet. Ba'chalo im chametzu anush karet. Im matzahu, you're going to be tzedek chovah. So the question is, it's mashma that here that even pirurim are still going to be chashuvim, and it's still considered lechem. What's the proof? That when you're going to come and you're going to put all these little pieces together, and now you're going to come and to eat it, it's still going to be chayav karet. So if you're going to be chayav karet, so then that's it. So therefore it's going to be chashuv. What are you telling me if it's less than a kazait, it's not chashuv, and it's not going to lose its berachava motzi? What are you talking about? Here you could still have a karet. So answers the Gemara, what are we dealing with? B'shei the sun. What does that mean? What happened was is that you were lashed the pirurim and you made them into a big piece again. You basically came and you made it again a big bread. So since you made it into a big bread, that's why. Yeah, your irisan, you made them back into a big gush.
Cannot that gather them together now? Some it's still broken.
100%. That's why you're putting them together, and then once you put it together as one kazait, then it's going to be a problem. So if so. That's what we said. That's pras. Now, if you're going to tell me that it was a irisan, so then you just ate it. Why do I need that now? Pras. At the end of the day, right? It's one piece. It's not the little tiny pieces that I have to start eating it with. So he says, "What are we dealing with? We're talking about that it's coming from a bigger bread. So since it's coming from a bigger bread that has a kazait, that's why it's got a chashivut yutira. It's got an extra chasivut. Meaning, if it's just stam pirurim, it's nothing. But if it comes from a big bread, so therefore that's why you're going to come and you're going to say, right? Well, that's what he's saying, that it's going to be chashuv or not chashuv. So he says, "My havilas." What's the maskana? Rav Sheshat says, "Afilu pirurim she'en kazait, even if it does not have a kazait, you still make a motzi." Amar Rava says, "No. V'udika turita dinam alayo. That's only if it's got surata pat. Meaning, if it's got surata pat, so therefore you're going to do it, and if not, right, then you're not going to make the bracha of hamosi lechem min